Have you attended my sessions before? If you have attended before, then write how many times you have attended. If you are attending for the first time, write 0. All right. Super good to have you all here. Good evening. All right. So I'm excited to cover today what we're going to talk about. This is a tricky thing. I'm sure many of you wonder about this from time to time, that whether you should be doing corporate law or should you do litigation. What is a good idea, right? So is this something that you deal with before? Like, have you thought of this before, that should I do litigation or should I do corporate law? Does this question come to your mind? Do you ever wonder what would be better for you? Yeah. So what do you think? So how many of you prefer corporate law, write corporate? How many of you prefer litigation, write litigation? And then those of you who are confused, write confused. A lot of corporate, somebody saying corporate litigation. Corporate litigation is still litigation. Confused. Mhm. All right. So what are the reasons? Like why do you prefer corporate over, let's say, litigation or otherwise? Do you have a reason for it? What is the reason? A lot of people are watching on YouTube also. Somebody is asking, will the rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning and automation everywhere affect the work of corporate lawyers? It'll affect somewhat everybody's work, but it's not like the profession will disappear or anything. Both will be there. Stable income is one concern. Litigation is difficult for first generation lawyers. I love this one. The odds are less in corporate law, big tickets, interest in taxation assistant. In litigation, making money is difficult, no stable income. So very interesting. So let's get started. So I got your reasons, very interesting. Different people have different thoughts about these things. Let's see if after today's session your thoughts remain the same or somewhere they change, right? Okay, let me pull up my presentation today. So how many people have two options in mind, like when they're studying law, that okay, I can be a litigator, and of course there are so many famous litigators and it is inspiring. Some years back I heard Mukul Rohatgi filed income tax of 300 crores. Okay, imagine one person earning 300 crores. And that happens in litigation. There are some litigators who earn incredible amount of money, right? And there are law firms which may not be earning so much. In fact, the entire law firm, like I think recently Luthra's income was disclosed, and the entire Luthra was making some, I think, 250 crores a year, right? So imagine one Mukul Rohatgi making 300 crores versus entire Luthra, one of the largest law firms, making 250 crores, right? It's crazy. And I mean, that there are 500 lawyers together making something, or maybe 300 lawyers making that much money. And then there is one lawyer, maybe surely with a number of associates and juniors, but everybody's going to the, like, it's basically him, right? And there are others who are making this kind of incredible amount of money. So obviously many people want to be litigators, and they want to have the power, they want to have the kind of influence that litigators have. Litigators, even there are good litigators, even become politicians. They automatically get into politics, right? There's a litigator quota into politics. For example, you become ministers and stuff like that. How many corporate lawyers that they have become ministers? So there are so many litigators, successful ones, who have been ministers, right? So that is definitely an interesting aspect. Now, so basically many people are torn between these two things, that do I do litigation or do I do corporate law? What is more appealing? And both may seem appealing to some of you. For some of you, it's very clear that what litigation is not at all viable, or I am not even interested in corporate law. So those people are better off, I guess. At least you have one clear goal, so you are more likely to achieve your goal if you have a more clear goal. When I was a law student, litigation did not seem viable to me at all, right? It did not look viable to me. Why? People scared me about even trying out litigation. Like, the stuff they said about litigation, I was scared. Did not even seem like it's something worth doing at all. And what did they say? First, things I heard are like this: you will not make any money for the first 5 years at least, they said, right? This is not correct. Okay, this is nonsense. That I know now. Back then, I did not know. Um, if you are smart, dedicated, and work strategically, you can do very well for yourself in litigation. See, I did not do litigation, and I don't regret that I did not do litigation. But I do realize now that my reason for not doing it was wrong, right? Like some of you just said right now, that if you are in litigation, you will not make any money. As a first generation litigator, it is not possible to do anything. All of this is not true. I have had so many clients, students, friends, batchmates who have got into litigation. Sure, it has taken them a few years to get somewhere, but they are doing very well. I mean, I can't now see. I have graduated 9 years back. Okay, 2011 was the year in which I graduated. This is 2020, and almost 2021. So you can say almost 10 years, right? And I can say that people who graduated with me, they were initially the people who joined. I mean, today it's hard to say. I mean, there are very successful people in litigation. There are very successful people in corporate law. Both sides, people have built their own law firms from my batch. But you know, it's like you can do very well in litigation, you can do very well in corporate law. I mean, it should not be the reason that you think that you're not going to make money as a litigator. It is not true. There are many ways to make very good money as a litigator, right? Even right at the beginning of your career as a litigator, also you can make money. So I'm asking you to not think of this as the reason. You may have some other reasons, okay? But this cannot be the reason that, oh, as a litigator, initially I'll make no money. It may be that you'll not be able to make money because you're not in a position to do so. Maybe whatever it takes, you can't give that, but we'll talk about that later. So corporate law was a default choice for me because litigation was out of the window. Government jobs never really appealed to me because it seems like my father worked for the government, right? And it seemed like the government is so slow, bureaucratic. You know, you are basically completely at the mercy of your seniors, whatever ministers or politicians will tell you you'll have to do that. Like, you don't have space for creativity and all of that. So that never appealed to me. And corporate law was almost default choice. If I in NUJS, when I was studying there, I'm sure it is like that even now, but back then the environment in my college was such that joining top law firms was seen to be the best possible outcome of a legal education, right? So if you're studying at NUJS, the best possible outcome is that you end up at a corporate law firm, maybe a foreign law firm, maybe an Indian law firm, but those people who cannot get there end up doing litigation, right? This is all happened all the time. People who couldn't get into law firm jobs went to litigation. It was such a hyped and celebrated option. Nothing else seemed to be as good. So I want you to have an option. I don't want you to be thinking like this, that, okay, the only option is corporate law. I'm not saying corporate law is not an option, but I don't want you to have incorrect reason for joining corporate law if you're joining corporate law, right? Remember that working at a big law firm is no joke, right? It is not about how smart you are. When I was joining, I was thinking, oh, I'm very smart, so I'll do really well in a good law firm. But the work culture in a law firm can be totally crazy. Okay, you live between deals. So if you're a transactional lawyer, and by the way, there is litigation in law firms also, right? It is possible to do litigation in a law firm, but if you are doing transactional work in a law firm, you live between deals, right? So you have no deals happening right now. Right now is your free time, enjoy life, and when the deal comes, right, your life is suspended. Like, it's like, okay, put your life on hold. Now there's a deal going on, and deals can happen back to back also, right? So then your life is suspended for very long, and you might have to work for 14 hours a day. You may have no time to spend with your family, friends, and it would be considered totally normal, right? Nobody anywhere would agree to work like this, but except in a law firm, transactional law firm, this is normal. This is how it works. Yeah, it's crazy. It's very strange. Anybody else will find it unbelievable that how can you expect somebody to work like this? Are we not human beings? But in a law firm, it'll be like, yeah, this is how it is. This is how you do it. This is how we roll. So you may stay up night after night, and lawyers often jeopardize their health. Even when I was actually, working in a corporate law firm, I fell sick because I was working till 3 o'clock in the morning every day for 3 months, every single day. Okay, and weekends were not off. I was working weekends, non-stop working. It is possible when you are so young, you can work a lot. Okay, and probably it will feel like nice also initially. Wow, I'm working so hard. But what happened because of that lack of sleep and extreme stress is that I fell sick. My immunity became very down, and then I got infected by some strange amoeba infection in my liver, and I was in hospital for 11 days. And it's not just me. I have seen a lot of people really jeopardizing their health while working in law firms. Physical health, mental health, both. Okay, that's a serious issue. Uh, that doesn't mean everybody struggles. A lot of people thrive in law firms. They do really well. They're very happy to work in law firms. They work for decades successfully in law firms, do amazingly well, right? But I regularly talk to a lot of my clients from LawSikho, as well as former students working at big law firms, and they are very stressed, and they ask me how they can get into other options, like, can I do litigation now? Can imagine, I just spoke to somebody, a former student who's working at AZB, and she was asking, I am thinking of moving to in-house counsel role. Do you think it's a good idea? How can I approach? How do I apply? How do I speak to people? And this is, many of you might be dreaming that I want a job at AZB as a lawyer, and when you get it up, and this person has worked there for 2-3 years, and she's it's not like she's doing badly, but she's like, I don't want to live my life this way, so stressed. I want to have a little better quality of life, and this is absolutely fine to want that, and this happens, right? So nothing is perfect for you by default, right? It is important that you find what works for you, right? So like I said, some people thrive in litigation, some people thrive in corporate law. Someone may thrive while doing litigation and may not enjoy corporate law firm work at all, may completely hate it, may may not like the hierarchical structure of a law firm, but maybe finding the environment of a court very collegial and very nice, or the chamber kind of thing more intimate, more personal. And there are people who would find that to be a problematic environment, but really prefer more, how I would say, like rule-based environment of a corporate law firm much better, right? So I have seen both, right? Some people love corporate law work and absolutely do not like litigation environment of chambers and stuff like that. For some people, both are okay, and the question is about more about convenience, right? What is suitable right now? What is the opportunity available for me right now? That is the best one I'm getting, and really doesn't nothing else matter. So we have to realize that we have to make a good choice. Then we have to think it through, because right now most people have some prejudice on their mind, or some thought this way or that way, and they are doing things really uh, without any, I mean, how do I say, without any proper deliberation. They are like, this is what I'm supposed to do. If I study in this college, then this is what I'm supposed to do. Oh, this is the best option, I need to run after this only. That other option is very, some people are thinking corporate law is amazing and litigation is completely shit. This is not true. Okay, and there are other people who are thinking litigation is the only thing worth doing, corporate law is shit, it is not worth doing. Both are incorrect. Okay, the thing is that you have to find out where you find it more interesting, more attract. I mean, the things, your personal characteristics may match something more than the other. And I'm going to tell you how to see what do you value more. So this is something I ask, like a lot of people when I'm talking to them one on one, and they say I am not able to decide what I want to do. I ask them that, okay, what do you value more as a person? Forget law. What do you value more as a person? Do you value autonomy, right? So there are some people, they really value autonomy. Like I value autonomy. Autonomy is important for me. Even if I make a mistake, I want to be able to make that mistake without somebody breathing down my neck and shouting at me for making that mistake. Because I will make the mistake, but I will fix it and I learn from it, and I'll not repeat that mistake, and I'm responsible that way. But I want to experiment. I want to be creative. I want to try new things, and I don't want to, be controlled by somebody. Like, okay, you have to follow these rules only, and you can do nothing else. That would suffocate me. On the other hand, I know some of my friends, they exactly want that. They don't want this responsibility of making mistakes, trying things out. They're like, just tell me what to do, I'll do just that. They want a very structured environment where they have to do only these things, and as long as they deliver, they are done. They don't want anything else, right? But this is not something that I like. So it's that matters, right? So autonomy is a very important factor. If you want autonomy in a big law firm, you'll have no autonomy until you become a partner or something. Even after becoming a partner, you may not have autonomy. Maybe you have to become a senior partner to have autonomy in a law firm. Okay, comparatively, if you're a litigator, you are not expected to work in a senior's chamber for very long. At some point, you are expected to go independent and run your own practice. So as an independent lawyer, you'll have more autonomy. You'll have no autonomy while working with a senior. Okay. For some people, it's very important to get validation, right? So like I said, autonomy is one important thing. Another important thing can be validation, right? Now, validation is what, I want people to say you are doing well, or I want to get praised, or I want people to write about me in newspapers, right? I want people to praise me that, wow, Ramanuj is such a good lawyer, or Ramanuj is so good, he is doing such great work. Now, where would you get validation more? If you realize, if you are doing litigation, you have a higher chance of getting validation, because when you are in corporate law environment, all the credit will go to the partner or the senior people. You are nobody. When you are joining corporate law and you want to get validation for what you are doing, you will get nothing. Okay, for first 1 or 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you are a nobody. Like, you are like the pawn on the, I mean, if you're playing chess, the pawn has like the least important. You are not even forget being a king or queen, or you are not even like just like a pawn. Okay, and you might not like it. It may not suit your characteristics. It may not. You may find that very unfortunate. That okay, for 5 years I have to be a pawn. I'm not okay with that. Okay, you might want to do something where you are more of a front man, delivering, getting the credit for what you are doing, building a team, building your own practice, whatever. But if that is what you enjoy, then maybe starting your own thing is a much better option, right? So those things have to be weighed. So for some people it's very important to get power. Now if you are working in a law firm, I don't know when will you have power. Maybe when you are a partner or senior partner, you may have some power. But if you are a litigator, on the other hand, you may get power much faster because of your proximity to the judicial system, proximity to police, whatever. You might have access to those instruments of power much faster, and you might enjoy that. So you have to see, there is a way to see, what do you value as a human being. And there's no point pretending that no, I don't care, I only want. There are some people who say, I only want to do good for the people. Okay, you only want to do good for the people. Why? Because you want validation, because you want fame, because you want to feel good yourself. What is the point, right? There must be something. And if you look into it, you will find something that truly motivates you as a human being, right? So I can give you my example. I really like autonomy. I really like innovation, right? We are creating something new, breaking new ground. That thrills me. I really enjoy building a team, building a community. I like adventure, right? So I have chosen to do a startup because I could not get this anywhere, right? I like teaching, but if I joined academia, I would feel suffocated because they have too many rules, too many things. I could not experiment. I have to teach the same syllabus. So I built my own company teaching education, right? And I couldn't, I am excited by the fact that, okay, I'm doing completely new things, and I couldn't do this anywhere else. So this is important for you to think of yourself as a person. What inspires you? There are some people for whom none of these matters. They only want to make money. They are like, money inspires me. And it's good to know that it doesn't matter what people say. Oh, it's not about blah blah blah. It's about, okay, money inspires me, that's it. Okay, then wherever I get the most money, I will do that. And you'll be able to figure out, calculate exactly that, this is where I'll make more money, and then you can chase that very clearly. Or you can decide that, okay, I want a mix of power and validation and money. And but then if you chase too many things, you'll not be able to make up your mind. So you have to see what are one or two things which is really, really important to you. Vijay, Palit, you have a question, you can ask the question. Yeah, ask your question. Don't sit. You said you want to ask a question. Please ask a question. Anybody. By the way, even on YouTube, those of you who are watching, if you have any questions, please ask. Sometimes the question may be completely irrelevant to what we are discussing, so I may not take it up immediately. But if it is immediately relevant, I will take it up. Okay. So like somebody has asked a question about exploitation of law students. I don't want to answer it right now because it's not relevant to the discussion topic. Okay. So Anubhav, unmute. Why you type the question? No. Okay, I'll unmute you for 1 second. Wait, where are you? Anubhav, where is Anubhav? Raise your hands at least so that I can. Acha, I have allowed you to talk. Anubhav. Hello, Anubhav.
Hello.
Yeah, speak.
Yeah. So, sir, first, my question is the pace of growth. Secondly, how much one earns during the initial stages of litigation? Because I'm certain of the fact that if you are working as a junior under some litigating lawyer, then you earn way less than working in a corporate structure. And
Sure,
thirdly,
sure.
can you
I
please
agree
tell
with
us,
that.
I will tell you, and can you please tell us why government jobs never appeal to you?
Okay, sure. So the first question about how much money is made by, if you're a junior litigator, can you make money? Okay, you can absolutely make money, but you have to prepare for it. You have to figure out how to do it. Number one, if you are going into litigation as a junior lawyer, and unless you have a lot of money from your family that you don't care about money at all, right? That is may also be the case with many people, some fortunate people. But if not, then you need to have one or two skills through which you can make money on the side. Because if you are working with a litigator, they pay you very less. This is true. They might, in Bombay, for example, the tradition is that they don't pay you anything, or they are paying you 5,000, 10,000. No money, right? In Bombay, it is no money at all. But they allow you to take your own clients and they'll allow you to do your own work, which means that you can actually make some money by doing your own work. Okay. So in that case, what you do is that you start drafting some agreements, for example, okay, in Calcutta also, right? You can draft some agreements. Okay, so you learn how to draft agreements and you draft agreements alongside. Okay, so the you can charge 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 for drafting an agreement. So if you know how to find clients for drafting agreements and you start doing that, then you will be able to earn good amount of money. Okay, so you might be earning, you draft some 3, 4, 5, 6 agreements, you might be earning that much money on the side. Or like, Anubhav, you yourself, you write articles and get paid for other lawyers, right? So you might be doing some content writing work, writing articles and getting paid, and that will, give you that 20, 30,000 extra money. That will ensure that you are earning enough to keep yourself afloat while you are trying to build your litigation practice. Same thing, you can do some paralegal work for some foreign lawyers. Like we have taught, I have done so many other webinars before. If you have not been here before, you can check on YouTube. I have sessions on how to get paralegal work from foreign lawyers, right? And you can do that and earn like 50,000, 60,000 by working a few hours every day, 2, 3 hours, 4 hours. You can earn that much money. Then no problem, right? So it is important that if you have the right skills and you have the right ideas, and you have to prepare yourself. So if you know that you are going to graduate after 3 years and you want to start doing litigation, right? Then you should start preparing for this next 3 years so that you can build up a certain amount of money as a side income, right? So that when you start litigation, you will be working very hard, sure, but you'll set aside that 2, 3 hour a day to earn some extra money, right? So it is possible to fund yourself this way. And this is what I did when I was starting my startup also, because at least in litigation there is somebody to pay you. When I started my company back in 2012, okay, so I had my last salary paycheck was there in my account, and it was enough to sustain myself for 3 months, and then I didn't know what will I do. There was no more money. So what did I do? I wrote some articles, right? I was writing articles. I was getting paid 4, 5 thousand per article. Then I was doing some like that, drafting some agreements and stuff like that, giving some advice. So that paid my bills. Earning 20, 30,000 rupees a month was possible, and that allowed me to get that confidence to continue work on my startup for a long time. And then when the startup took off, I stopped doing all that, right? So but this is very important. You need to have the ability to earn some money on that. And even when I was a law student, I was earning money by teaching for CLAT, by creating course content, by doing ghost writing. So you can also do many of these things to earn some money on the side. Because if you're really see how, if you need 50, 60,000 per month, it is not so difficult to earn that much money. Okay, maybe you'll get 10, 15 from your senior in litigation, and then the rest you can earn this way. Okay, this is very much possible, and many of our students are doing this. They are just drafting contracts, a few contracts for startups, small businesses who cannot afford to go to big lawyers, and they are earning that extra money which enables them to continue to pursue litigation. And it is also very good. Imagine when you are a young litigator and you are drafting contracts for small businesses, small businessmen, and traders and startups. Later on, when those contracts run into trouble, then it is your ready-made client base. You are also building a client base for the future. So it is excellent. Okay. So, I mean, it's not a problem.
So this was the first question.
Yeah. Sorry. What did you say?
So on the basis of this answer, can I say that if not more, then litigation and corporate has same work, because in litigation you are doing work for someone else also, and and you are doing some side hustle, right? So
Yeah.
work is more in litigation.
Yeah. And litigation also leaves you that much time for, because they are not paying so much, they also allow you to give that much breathing space to do something outside. Okay. In litigation, however, there are some places, by the way, there are some litigation chambers. Like, for example, Gopal Subramaniam pays his juniors, even from the first year, he pays you 80,000 rupees. If you walk from Venu Gopal, he might be paying you 1.5 lakh rupees as a junior. Obviously, there are only few such people, not too many. There was one of my students who was working with another Supreme Court lawyer, was getting paid 40,000 rupees right out of college, right from first year. So there are such lawyers who pay well in litigation also from year one itself. But then if you are going to get, it's very, very hard to get there, right? So you have to do extremely, tremendously good work in your college. Maybe you're writing such amazing articles, you're doing such great work, building network, impressing them. Okay. Actually, I'll be doing a webinar few months down the line, few days down the line, where I'm going to talk about how you can impress any lawyer in the world and get an internship with them. So then you should do that. So that kind of strategy, if you deploy, you might be able to get very good internship with such lawyers who are even paying so highly to their juniors. But you can understand it is highly competitive in such cases, right? That is another option if you want to do litigation and earn wealth right from the beginning. Another option that is there, is that, if you are doing litigation and you are able to bring clients, if you have very good business development strategies, okay, so that you are able to help your senior to get more clients. Maybe you are helping your senior to run a YouTube channel or write articles and publish, or network, organizing webinars. I don't know, there are many business development strategies. And by doing those, apart from doing your legal work, you are doing such business development strategies, and you can have a deal with your senior that every client I bring, I will get 20% of the money. You keep 80%, but I'll get 20%. And many seniors will happily agree on such a deal. Okay. And because they are also getting clients. And that way you will be able to earn very handsomely, even if you are doing, but it requires some skill. Maybe you need business development skill in that case, right? So this is what is important. I hope that answers.
Yeah, thanks so much. Now coming to the second question, the pace of growth. So you mentioned that you can do some side hustle, you can make your own contacts, you will get to know the people in fraternity. That is in litigation. And in corporate, there is a structured
Corporate, you
manner
will
in
not
which
be
you
able
get
to do
promotion.
this. It will not even be appreciated if you do it, and they'll be very angry with you. And not only that, if you are in a corporate law firm, Anubhav, then even when you are like maybe 3 or 4 years you have practiced, they do not, especially in big corporate law firms, right? They do not want you to promote yourself or get a brand name or get your own clients, because they are afraid that if you start building your own brand name, etc., you might walk away with their own clients. Their clients they'll lose, right?
Yeah,
so they are very afraid.
But my question is, key on one side in corporate you have a structured a proper organization structure to get promotions, and in the other hand you have a lot of autonomy. You can,
very good
your
point.
efforts are directly proportional to your
agreed. You have raised a very good important difference.
My question is,
just one second. In corporate, what happens is that you have a very well-defined promotion structure, right? That today you are a A0, associate 0, right? and then associate 1, associate 2, and then from there you will become senior associate, and you know exactly what salary you will get at every level: senior associate, principal associate, managing associate, partner, salaried partner, then equity partner, all of that, senior partner, right? So it's all very clear that how you will be progressing from one step to another, and what is expected from you in each step is very clear, crystal clear, and you just have to follow that path. Okay, your other seniors have done it before you, and you just have to follow it. And many people find this amazing. And on the other hand, if you are in litigation, in there is no growth path. I mean, for most people, if you are working with a senior, there is no way to grow. There is one way to grow. You work with one senior for 20 years, like Gopal Shankar Narayanan. Let's say he worked for 20 years with a senior, and then he became a senior counsel. He became well known himself, started doing his own cases, became a senior counsel, right? Now there are other people like this also, like people have followed that path, but this is very rare, I would say, even in that environment, in litigation. Okay, people who actually manage to become senior counsel this way, but there are people who have done this, yeah. But otherwise, there is no such, every 3 years there's a promotion. Oh, if you do a great job as a junior associate for 3 years, 4 years, then you will get promoted as a senior associate, then as a principal associate. All of that is not there in litigation. You are doing the same thing for 7 years, 10 years without maybe any recognition also. Then rather, if you are in a smaller place, you will be going independent because the senior doesn't pay you, right? The senior still is paying you. After 6 years, he's still paying you 20,000, 25,000. You're like, I don't want this. I want to walk out and at least try to get my own clients. Then you are becoming an entrepreneur, because you have to get your own clients. You have to build your practice. You have to be smart about your own business. And it's all very challenging from there. So this is why many people prefer to work in corporates, because they have this kind of a clear growth structure, right? Now, what were you asking? Do you have any other question, or should we move on?
Yeah. So you have kind of answered the pace of growth thing. कि मतलब कितना जल्दी promotion मिलता है, कितने जल्दी clients आगे हमारे को जुड़ते हैं हमारे साथ. My third and last question was, why government jobs never appeal to you, and can I get associated with government as an independent litigator, and is there any strategy for it?
You can be if you are a litigator, you can have government as your client, right? So many litigators, in fact, target this. This is a milestone on their journey, that they are going to have some government clients. Okay. So for example, you become an assistant solicitor general, or you are on the panel of, some ministries. Okay. And you're appearing in their matters, or you're public prosecutor or standing counsel for a government. All these things lawyers always do. It helps them to improve their importance in the profession, and their standing and their respect in the profession. Then they get even better clients. So a lot of people do this, absolutely there. No question about that, Anubhav. But why I didn't want to work in a government setup is because in a government setup, I believe that there is no independence, there is no autonomy, no scope for creativity. I explained that in the beginning also. You have to follow what your seniors ask you to do without question, right? That is how it is.
All right. One last thing. Is there any strategy? Is there any action plan I can adopt to land government authorities or any sort of government institution as my client?
There is no formula like this. If you are a good lawyer, you have to apply. Sometimes they invite, and sometimes all of this works on political connections. So if you have strong political connections, you will get easily government appointments. Okay. And this is normal. This is not even like some underhand thing. This is like considered very normal in the practice, that if you are, let's say, you are a BJP karyakarta, then in those states where BJP is in power, you might be appointed in important positions. Same for Congress and so on. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. But there are other ways also. It's not all political. Huh? Like there are non-political appointments also happening. Because you say if you're a great environmental lawyer, you're doing a great job, then you might get selected by the environment ministry to be on the panel for their matters. And then if you perform well, they'll give you more matters. Okay. So this also happens. And of course, networking matters. Who you know, who knows you, all of that also matters. So, okay. So now I'm going to run you through some slides. Let's first understand where litigation and corporate law work is very similar. Somebody is asking if someone starts in-house, can they go to law firms later? Sonai, yes, they can. Even if you're in-house initially, you can go to a law firm later. There is no problem. Okay. Okay. So let's first understand where litigation and corporate law work is similar, right? Both demand devotion, hard work, and a lot of time. So if you think that, oh, in corporate law, I'll be working a lot, and in litigation, I will not, it is not correct. Okay. In corporate law, like you are working till, so many hours. Only thing is that you have no control over it. Similarly, in litigation also, imagine that full day you spend in court, and then you come to chamber at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and then you are sitting down to prepare for next day's matters. You are drafting. You might have like long documents to draft, and you might have so much to read up because your preparation is important. Your arguments you're preparing. All of this is a lot of work, and it is going to be a hard work. Like many of them are working every day till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock also, even in litigation. And it is even more urgent. It's like working in a hospital, like the doctors are so worried that this client might die and they're trying to save somebody's life. Lawyers who are litigating also often in that kind of situation. Same thing in the corporate law. When you are doing a deal, you are every moment you are on your toes, trying to get it done, trying to move things along, and it's very, very challenging and very, very hard. Okay. So you do not get some control over your time until you become a senior partner in case of corporate law. So, as you are growing through the system, first an associate, then senior associate, then principal associate, even when you are a salaried partner, junior partner, you may not have too much of control over your time, because you just have too much work and you are a workhorse, you have to get the work done. Maybe when you are becoming a senior partner, rainmaker, then you might have a little more time. Your job may be to bring in enough business, and you have a good team in place who's taking care of the work. So you get a little bit of free time and little more leeway in terms of how many hours you are working. Okay. So this is very, very challenging. Okay. So remember this, that in litigation, until you have enough juniors under you, so it's all about delegation, right? So in litigation, it may happen a little earlier, that you are able to hire enough juniors under you, and you'll be very busy in any case, but with some juniors under you, it might be a bit better for you, right? So then what else? In both litigation and corporate law practice, corporate transactional practice, you can make a lot of money if you're a good lawyer. There is no question. In both, you can make money. Okay. Only thing is that things are a little more certain in case of corporate lawyer. You can retain the job, you get promotion. This is all a matter of very structured system where you are getting it by the clock, by by your performance, of course, more or less. Even there can be some good year, bad year, all of that. But in case of litigation, it's more uncertain. But in litigation also, people, when you become a good lawyer, you have a demand, you're killing it. Same in corporate law, you can make good money in both. So there is no question that, oh, there is no money in litigation, and all of that is complete nonsense. Okay. Let me see, some questions have come. A lot of questions do not seem to be relevant. Based Institute for Corporate Law, LLM in corporate law. These are not relevant. I'll try to answer some of these questions towards the end. Let's focus on our topic. How much structured promotions are in dispute team of law firm? Same as corporate, right? So if you're in a dispute team of law firm, it is exactly the same. Okay. No difference. So if you're doing litigation in a law firm, you benefit from the same structured system. Okay. Okay. Okay, very important. Both cases you can work independently. Even if you're a corporate lawyer, it's not necessary that you have to work in a law firm forever, right? You can choose to work for someone else, or you can work for yourself, depending on your confidence level, risk appetite, your ability to bring business. Some people are really good at bringing business. Some people are not. They're very good at doing the work, but may not have the same level of this thing. No, Anubhav, I'm not going to unmute you. You can write your question like everyone else here. Okay, so very important, right? So this is there. Next is both types of work require a lot of discipline and structured approach. Okay, these kind of work, this, sorry for the typo, both requires discipline, self-discipline and structured approach. You need to think of like a system. It's not only, oh, I am a smart lawyer, I know a lot of law. When you are in law school, when you are a young lawyer, you will think that, oh, it's about me knowing a lot of law, me knowing a lot of case law, me knowing, me being very smart. Oh no, that is not what it is. It's about a system. Are you following a good system? Are you following a good approach? Are you making your job easier? Are you making things certain? All these things. Okay. So this is very, very important. Okay, structured approach. Now, what are the differences? I'm going to talk about the differences next, but I want to ask you, what do you think is the difference between corporate law work, transactional work, and litigation work? Write in the chats. I'm giving you a minute. Just write this. I'll be back in a minute. What are your responses? I'm reading. Very interesting. Alex Abraham is saying the work is repetitive in corporate law as compared to litigation. And this is very, very true. Okay, so if you are working in litigation, even litigation in a corporate team, you will be coming across more varied work, different things, different times. And in corporate law transaction practice, you might be doing the same damn thing over and over and again, and you might feel good. Some people like this, that they don't have to deal with new intellectual challenges or new kinds of matters every day. On the other hand, some people find it frustrating that how many of the same bloody shareholder agreement will I draft? Okay, or how many loan agreements and concession agreements, same regurgitating some variation here and there every time. Some people are tired of doing this and find it very boring. Okay, so very good. And on the other hand, litigation is very different than that. Yash Mittal is saying in corporate law, one works related to corporate matter like company agreements other than litigation. Sure, obviously, like what you can say is that in corporate law, your clients are more businesses rather than individuals. And in case of uh, litigation, it can be both businesses and individuals. Corporate has templates to make it easier, but everybody has templates. Litigators also have a lot of templates that they use. Jalsa Singh, boycott LawSikho, never forget his seminar. Okay, Jalsa, bye. Don't come here. Babes Joshi, one can establish a good name and earn more respect and fame and can work towards social cause by doing pro bonos in later stages of life in litigation. Sure, that is also fine. Okay, so you can do pro bono work. Yeah, actually, you can. A lot of people actually take this into consideration that if you're doing litigation, you can do a lot of work for the good of people. So you're doing some work for your business clients and all of that, but some other things also you can do, which is purely for the good of people. And I've seen many such litigators who are earning good amount of money, which you need, but at the same time they do a lot of pro bono social causes matters, and it gives them immense satisfaction. So that is something to take into account, no doubt. Very good. Okay, Very excellent point, Bhavesh. Okay, now let's see what you guys have said here. Litigation money flows only after 4 to 5 years. Yes, Bhavatarini, but I gave a solution to this before in today's session. Maybe you're not around at that time. There are many ways to make sure you are comfortable as a litigator from the beginning. Ijaz Muhammad, independence, unlimited income in litigation, stable income and income security in corporate. Okay, interesting view. Gurpreet Singh, yeah, if you love independence, probably you really should choose litigation because you can go independent sooner and build your practice sooner. But you can do the same in corporate. Honestly, you can have your own corporate clients early enough. It's not a challenge. Okay. Gurpreet Singh, litigation in dispute resolution, which can transactional. In litigation, you also have to do PR for yourself, not in corporate. No, you have to do PR everywhere. You have to manage your public relations and how clients perceive you, how the legal fraternity perceives you. All of that you have to do yourself. Okay. Then basic difference is in litigation. We can establish our own name if we start from lower courts and further aim for high courts. On the other hand, in corporate, establishing name is corporate team, usually partners or principals should take credit. We have to survive as a shadow of them. Also, client at corporates are still very high paying. Okay. Assistant public prosecutor job is challenging or not? It's a challenging job, but it's a government job. There is a certain luxury also about government jobs. Security. If you are not working hard, it's not like people will fire you. You get fired for doing something you're not supposed to, but in government jobs, if you don't work too hard, you still don't get fired, right? Usually. Not for okay, cool. So I have seen all your answers. Let me move forward. What are the differences that I am going to tell you about, which are really important? You guys have raised some good points, but let me tell you of the most important points as per me. In litigation, you can work either for a law firm or an individual lawyer, right? So just because you're doing litigation does not mean you have to always work for an individual lawyer's chamber or a chamber. You can actually work in a law firm, right? Working for law firms that are slightly larger have many advantages. What are the advantages? Individual lawyers may not follow best practices, may be unorganized. You may learn or internalize the wrong lessons from them. Okay. It's actually a very big problem. Many people who are going into litigation, they are learning the wrong lessons from their seniors who themselves are they have stagnated. They are not following best practices, might be earning enough to sustain a small practice, but that doesn't mean that you have to learn their mistakes, right? You can learn from their mistakes, but don't learn their mistakes and repeat it thinking this is the right thing to do, right? If you are stuck with a law practice that is small and stagnated already, it may give you the very wrong lessons. Like you might be learning all the things that will going to hold you back and cause you to stagnate later, right? That is the danger. If you're working at a large corporate law firm, you are working at a place that is proven in the marketplace. There is a quality standard that they have managed to establish, right? Otherwise, all these big clients will not work with them, right? In litigation, it can happen that a certain lawyer has great face value in the court. Somehow they are able to get the orders. Who knows? They have a reputation in the court or with the judges, maybe. You can see this. Two lawyers argue the same thing before the same judge and gets different results. Okay. And we don't know why. And this face value thing, I'm going to talk about that later, is very big thing in courts. But so that lawyer might be not following the best practices in terms of research or drafting or client management, office management, maybe completely not managing to well any of these things. and still you might be employed at such a place and internalizing all the wrong stuff. But if you're working at a large corporate law firm, you're working at a place that is proven in the marketplace, that, and people, large corporations are working with them. There is a quality standard that you are learning from them, and it is very good for your initial beginning of your career. Okay, so that is, if you join a litigator's chamber, I'll not be sure if you are getting a good initial training, if you are learning the right stuff or not. But if you are at a corporate law firm, you have a lot of good stuff, like successful law firm, right? They have got things down to like meticulously very right. And it would be a really great start for you over there. At least you learn how to talk to clients, how to manage them, how to write mails, how to do CYA. If you remember, how many of you here were there in my CYA webinar when we talked about CYA? Yeah, cover your ass, right? So there are, some of you are there. So, you learn how to do CYA well, and these things are important. How to recover money from clients, how to hold a meeting with clients. Even there is stuff to learn about that. There is so much to learn, right? So, there are smaller corporate law firms that may have stagnated as well. Business development strategies, how they are doing. So, if you're working at a corporate law firm, boutique law firm, big law firms which are doing well, growing well, you'll really learn a lot from them about how to run a practice, how to manage people, how to treat clients, everything. But you may not learn that from litigators. There are many successful litigators who may be treating their clients horribly, may be behaving badly with their clients, and still get away with it. But that is not the case with corporate law firms. Okay. So there are some smaller corporate law firms that have stagnated. There are law firms, I can't take in names, obviously. I don't want to like say many bad things. There are corporate law firms which have stagnated, right? So you have to not learn from them. They must be doing something wrong that they have stagnated, right? And don't learn those things. But compared to litigation chambers, there are fewer of these in corporate law. There are in litigation, there are lots and lots of such, very small setups, very completely stagnated, no growth, doing the same thing in declining practices, right? And you might go there and learn all the wrong stuff. So this is the danger. And in corporate law, there is less such danger. Litigation is a very hierarchical and is very hierarchical profession. And lot depends on what other lawyers think of you, what the judges think of you, what is your reputation, and all the lawyers are trying to build their reputation over the years and trying to get approval of the other lawyers and the judges. So it's a very that kind of an environment also, right? And seniors will get a certain treatment, junior counsels won't get that kind of treatment in the court, and this is normal, right? But this is not how, rather than quality of arguments, okay, it much can depend on how judges perceive you. Okay, some judges may be more willing to hear you out, some judges may not be willing, and it may not have anything to do with your arguments or your research or your preparation for the case. Face value is a common term you'll hear in litigation. And in fact, when big corporations are trying to hire a lawyer for a certain matter, they're asking, okay, which lawyers have a good track record before this judge? Will hire only those lawyers, right? So clearly there is some kind of a face value issue, right? So those of you who are in litigation, you have heard of it very well. So this is definitely a question in litigation, because some people may not be comfortable with, like I am not comfortable with this kind of an environment ever. I want to be judged objectively based on the quality of my work, because most of the time I am doing contrary things, right? I do things, the entire industry is going one way, I will innovate and do something else. And then if it depends on public opinion, then I will fail, right? But because I am working with the market, I am working with success, right? So I will create success and I will get success that way. But I could never do, it will be much harder to do that in a litigation setup. So if you are against a senior, for example, you are up against a senior counsel, there are obvious disadvantages, right? I mean, I don't need to explain, but these kind of things you may not be very happy with if you're going into litigation. But this is not there in a corporate transactional practice. So if you are negotiating with the other side, and the other side, you have 5-year experience, the other side lawyer has 30 years of experience, it's not like you will get to speak less, or you cannot point out the mistakes of the senior. You can, and nobody will. If you don't, you will be a fool, you will be considered not a good lawyer. But you can't do that in litigation, right? So it's very different in litigation. You have to be very differential, even if they are saying the wrong law, even if they are citing the wrong precedents, maybe you have to say it also, but then you have to say it in a way that they don't get ticked off or they don't get angry with you. There's so many headaches in litigation. I don't even know, but these things matter in litigation, right? It takes long to overcome many of these disadvantages in litigation practice. I'm sorry. And while there are avenues to earn money, to be comfortable enough in your early years as well, to truly establish a counsel practice is a long haul. It takes people, I don't agree that you wouldn't be able to earn, say, 1 lakh rupees per month before 5 years. Like Babu Tarini is saying that, no cash flow happens before 5 years. That I don't agree with. Okay, you might be able to earn even in litigation 1 lakh per month if you're smart, you're able to bring in clients, you have certain skills, you'll figure out. It can be figured out. Okay, but you will not be able to become a senior counsel and overcome many of these advantages you will face for many years. You will be an underdog for a long time, right? So for the long haul, long game, you're playing a 30-year game, not even a 10-year game if you're in counsel practice. If you're trying to build a corporate law practice, on the other hand, it may be much faster to get to a place where you can feel accomplished. That, okay, say you're trying to build a nice sports law firm, right? It may take you may be able to do it in 5 years. And you may have 20 associates under you and a turnover of 2 crores, 3 crores in corporate law practice. You building your own corporate law practice. In fact, I am going to do on 16th one workshop, 3-hour workshop, where I'm going to dissect what a 1 crore per year practice looks like, how long it will take you to build a 1 crore per year corporate law practice, what kind of clients will you have, what kind of work will you do, what kind of challenges you have to overcome. Okay, but it may be much faster to do a corporate law practice, to take it to a place like that compared to a litigation practice. So it is definitely much slower to scale. If you are trying to build a large litigation practice or a litigation law firm for that matter, it might be harder, okay, to build that. Or to become like a Mukul Rohatgi, it will certainly take you a long time if you ever manage to do it. You can build a law firm of your own in both cases. Your quality of work is of supreme importance in corporate law. And what clients think matter more than what other lawyers think. You don't have to worry so much about what the other lawyers at bar will think of you, right? What the judges will think of you. So your quality of work and how the clients are happy with you or not, are they getting results from you or not, that is of the supreme importance, and the rest of it is not so important, right? Sure, it matters a little if other lawyers in the same practice think highly of you, it helps. As you deal with businesses as your clients, you can expect a little more sophisticated clients and better payment terms. And it is actually easier when you're solving problems of businesses. They are looking at it transactionally and they'll pay you well. Comparatively, individuals, especially, you might, if you're in litigation, initially you might be dealing with more of the poor people or people who are in difficult financial situation. They may not be able to pay you so much. Although even in litigation, eventually you want to deal with wealthier individuals and businesses. When you get into business litigation, that is when you really start succeeding in a big way. So you want business clients, right? So this is very important. Litigators also succeed when they get businesses as clients, but it's harder for them to get to that place where they can regularly start getting briefed by businesses, right? It is also easier for those in corporate law practice to specialize in a narrow domain or target a new upcoming trend. In litigation also, it is possible to specialize, but not as much. Okay, because you have to understand that corporate law work is earlier in the chain, right? So it's like litigation arises much later. Corporate law, and it's a much serious stage. But when you are doing drafting a contract, let's say, or you are advising them on government policy, or you are advising them on compliances and so on, right? So this work is much more common, ubiquitous, and it is initial level. There is not as much urgency. Nobody is so scared that people are willing to take chances with younger lawyers, right? So it is easier for you to get more work by specializing in a narrow domain. It is beneficial for litigators also, to especially young lawyers. It's a good idea to specialize, but it's just much harder to get clients and find clients in litigation. Okay, in litigation, because it's more serious. Like for a small ailment, you might still go to a any doctor, you don't care. But when you are really ill and you need a surgery, or you need something very serious, you want to go to the best possible doctor. Then you want to look. You have a normal headache, you have fever, you might go to any nearby doctor, right? There's a difference in your approach, and this is the difference. In litigation, you may be running around courts and may find it frustrating to wait for judges to hear your case for hours. Imagine, you are in Delhi and you have one hearing in the Supreme Court, one in the High Court, one in some 𝘂𝗽𝗀𝗶𝗃 court, one in 𝘂𝗃𝗀𝗀𝗀 court, and you're running around different courts. It can be quite a challenge, right? But corporate lawyers don't do that. And even if you're successful, you might be appearing today in Delhi High Court, tomorrow in Bombay High Court, and it's like big, lot of running around, physical running around is involved. And sometimes you're sitting in the court waiting for your turn to come. You are not a senior lawyer, right? So you are a junior lawyer. You might be waiting the whole day, and your case may not be called or postponed to next day. So your whole day in the court sitting is wasted. And this is the experience of lawyers all the time. Virtual hearings because of virtual hearings, this has changed, right? It's a blessing that way, that you don't have to sit in the court and wait. At your home, if you are sitting, you can at least do something else. You can read something, you can write an article, you can start preparing for the next case, sitting at home when you're doing virtual hearing. It's a game changer. And you can appear in as many courts as you want sitting at your home. But this is not the case. Many lawyers' income has increased because they don't have to go sit in a court and wait all day for the hearing to come. In litigation, it may be a great idea to practice in a small, prosperous, growing district town. Okay, this is also a fact, that people think that litigation, there is money only in big cities, but this is not correct. I can tell you, because I work with so many clients, increasingly from tier 2, tier 3 cities, small towns, okay, district towns, people are making good money. It is possible to earn 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh rupees per month by being a good lawyer in that place. Okay, but there is very less competition. You can quickly grow in such a place. If you're smart, you'll be able to act, because there is the bar of competition is so low that you'll be able to easily cross that bar and get work. It might be much harder for you to succeed in Delhi or in Bombay, but in a smaller, if you go to Ghaziabad, even there are more lawyers. But still, I'm just saying, even if you go to smaller places, it may be easier for you to get a lot of, maybe in Gurgaon, certainly in Gurgaon, much easier to get work in sessions court and so on. Okay, and build a practice successfully is much easier. Okay, it may be there are lots of thriving litigation practices in tier 2, tier 3 cities and even smaller towns. Okay, and people have money and they are spending money on litigation. You just have to be smart and you can figure this out. It may not be possible to build much of a corporate practice in such places. Okay, maybe in Gurgaon, yes, but because there are so many corporates there. But in other cities like that, where it is almost impossible to build a corporate practice, for example, in Jaipur or in Dehradun, to run an exclusive corporate practice would be impossible. Okay, but it is possible. Things have been changing rapidly. Now there are some litigators who are smart enough that they are doing some corporate work on the side, okay, which involves less desk job and more of speaking. I think until you become like a senior counsel and you are only speaking and other people are doing all the work, initially it will be a desk job everywhere. You get to speak in court if you're a litigator. If you get to argue in negotiator as a negotiator in corporate law also. But honestly speaking, it's not like it is a day's job whether you whatever you do, okay. So that is unavoidable as a lawyer, right? You have to spend a lot of time with papers, you have to spend a lot of time reading, you have to spend a lot of time researching, you have to spend a lot of time formulating your arguments and your ideas, maybe sharpening your presentation and so this is inevitable, okay. But even in a corporate law firm, you get to negotiate, right? So you're prepared a deal, you're negotiating with the other side, that is, you kind of say, is the equivalent of your arguing before court, okay. Shubham Gupta, we don't spam anyone, okay. We never spam. Only if you have subscribed to this thing, we will be sending it to you. Otherwise you don't spam. And if you don't like to accept something, our communication, simply unsubscribe and you'll never get it from us, okay. If you have subscribed in multiple places, then please take care to unsubscribe from each places and you'll never receive anything from us, okay. This is the first time experience regarding webinar. Okay, great. I'm glad you're liking it, Devapratim. Now there are some litigators, who are also doing corporate law work for local clients, startups, and growing businesses, right? So they are having a litigation practice, but to supplement that, they're also doing some agreements, they're doing advisory, they're doing all of that, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Do associate get client-facing work? For example, if I join a banking team, will I be able to build connections in banking? So Ishan Chopra, it's like something that doesn't happen immediately, right? It can take a lot of time, okay? It can take many years before you are, depending on the law firm, right? If you're in a small law firm, maybe within 1 year or 2 years, they'll let you do client-facing work. But if it is a big law firm, you may not get it till you become a senior associate. Most probably you will not get it till you become a senior associate or principal associate. Then you directly interact with clients. Okay, because you have so many layers of people above you in big law firms. Small law firms, because they don't have so many layers, they will put you forward a little earlier. Okay. Now there are some litigators who are also doing, so this is done. Let's move to the next. However, corporate lawyers continue to be concentrated in 4 or 5 larger cities with a few exceptions, right? Somehow there are some law firms which are operating from places like Indore or Jaipur, but these are exceptions, right? Corporate law firms really, to be honest, are concentrated in 3 big cities: Delhi, Bangalore, and Mumbai. Some law firms also in places like Calcutta and Chennai and Hyderabad, right? But still not that much. Okay, hard. They look very different than the real big corporate law firms in the big cities. But still, there are some law firms. In rest of the places, hardly anything, right? So, how to choose between corporate law and litigation, right? This is the question. So, look at your immediate priorities regarding money, right? So if you need that immediate stability, like I was clear, I had to join a big law firm because in big law firm, I'll get a lot of salary and I will pay my education loan very quickly because I had some 3 lakhs of education loan to pay and I paid it in 6 months, 50,000 in 6 months clean, right? So this is also important. Look at your immediate priorities regarding money. Then it may be easier to get higher salaries immediately in corporate law. So if you find it difficult to go get work on your own, to find your own clients, this may be challenging for you, right? Like I said, even if you do litigation initially, you might draft some agreements and all of that, and you may not be comfortable. I don't know how to go get work, all these things. Then it will not work. Okay. So it might be easier to get a secured higher salary immediately in corporate law. Then you need to really see, some people are really thrilled by this courtroom drama and intrigue and this feeling of accomplishment and drama, honestly, like, they love it, they thrive on it, this trying to, succeed and failure, whatever challenge, and they love it. So if you are that kind of a person, surely, maybe you love the life of a litigator and you will not like to do corporate law at all. Also, it is not a bad idea to be flexible if you want to start your own practice, that where you can do both. You can do some corporate work as well as litigation. Many people don't realize that this is actually a valid option, right? So you are building a law practice, let's say in taxation, right? Or you're doing technology law. You can be somebody who takes on some litigation matters as well as advisory and drafting work, and drafting contracts. Nothing stops you from doing that. It's actually a good idea in the initial years. It's an excellent idea. Just because your seniors 20 years back nobody did this does not mean it doesn't work now. Today I see so many of my batchmates, so many other lawyers who are building good law firms, building good practices, doing exactly this. They initially target the corporate law work, business law work, compliances, drafting contracts, advisory, because this work later on leads to more later on to litigation work also, right? When you establish trust with a client, they give you contracts to draft, they see your good quality, they get good advice from you, they come to trust you, then they'll refer you litigation work also, which is why all law firms have very good litigation practices, and you can do exactly the same. Okay, so it is highly recommended that you can do both, especially if you try to build your own practice. Many practice areas are great for such an approach. For example, if you're doing competition law, if you're doing tax law, if you're doing technology law, if you're doing NCLT, like all this what do I say, like insolvency and bankruptcy kind of practice, corporate governance, it is fantastic. You can do both. Debt recovery, excellent. Okay, so in the end, if you feel passionate about something, okay, you are far more likely to able to sustain the grind, because both are hard work. It takes hard work, a lot of focus, a lot of passion. So if you have passion, then you're likely that you will sustain the grind that is necessary for success, right? So what do you think? What did you vote for? Now I want everyone's response, whoever is still here. Do you want to go for corporate or do you want to go for litigation? A lot of questions are there. I'll answer your questions, don't worry. All right. Mostly people are saying corporate. Good. Litigation. Some few people litigation. Okay. Anybody wants to do both and try to figure out a way to marry both? Huh? Okay. Excellent. Okay. So I will answer questions next. Before that, couple of announcements. So would you like to know what goes on inside a 1 crore per year corporate law practice, how to build one, how it works? Who wants to attend that workshop? Yes, no, maybe. Who wants to attend that? So, okay, great. So let me share the link with all of you, right? Just give me a second. I'm going to share the link with all of you. How many of you have already registered for that workshop? If you have registered already, say yes. If you have not, you can say no. It's easy knowing that there are no special discounts that you offer to some people. Everybody pays the same amount. It's the same fair charge that everyone pays, right? You believe in that. Okay. Securing job in corporate law firm, definitely. We'll do that. We'll do something on securing job in a corporate law firm. Absolutely, 100%. We want more anecdotes like Amish sir. Okay, sure. Great. All right. Thank you everyone for making time joining me. How many of you are coming tomorrow again? How many planning to join tomorrow's webinar again? Say yes, no. You are? All right. Awesome. Super. Tomorrow, 9 p.m. See you. See you everyone. Take care. Have a great night. Bye bye.